Here with more One Piece goodness. This is not a subject matter for the faint of heart, so if you don't have the stomach for graphic details of blood and gore, I suggest that you skip this video. Because today we will be discussing some few ideas regarding the coming crucifixion of Momo and possibly Luffy. We learned of this possibility in the latest One Piece chapter 982 that just dropped a few days ago. If you haven't checked it out, I strongly recommend that you do before going on, because I will be spoiling. I suggest that you watch this video to the very end. There's a bunch of really interesting ideas to unravel worth thinking about. So now that you have checked the chapter, let's begin. So in chapter 982, Kanjuro finally made his way to Orochi with Momo in hand. Orochi, after learning of the Scabbard's survival, paranoid as he is, he immediately ordered the preparations for Momo's crucifixion, which got me like, huh? I started to wonder how Dark Oda was willing to go with this. We know Oda is not shy about going the dark route. We've seen that with the slavery and with the whole racism thing with the fishmen. So I wouldn't put some of the ideas here past him. So from a strategical standpoint, this would like what Orochi is planning will make the most sense. It's the most sound decision he could make, to go even a step further. Killing Momonosuke right there and then will solve half his problems. But in light of the ongoing rebellion, he's being strategic. Having the leader and rightful heir of the Kozuki clan executed right in front of the samurai and the Scabbards will serve to dampen their morale and kill off their fighting spirits, or at least make them a little dull from the emotional blow. Knowing Orochi so far, he is a sadist. He enjoys to watch people suffer, going so far as to crucify Lord Yasue only to kill him by shooting him, quite unceremoniously. It matches quite like just how he and Kaido killed Oden. It was the most unceremonious. Of course, the process leading to it, the whole boiling was an entire ceremony, but how was he had survived the ordeal. Even worse, they shot him right after he had finished. Even worse, worse still, before he was able to finish his famous catchphrase. My name is Oden, and I was born too. Then he was shot right there. He didn't even complete his statement, though the citizens finished it for him. Boy! Which he was quite frankly the literal embodiment of being a hard boy. So going on, we see how Orochi, how Orochi went about stopping the Scabbards in spite of all the information he was getting from Kanjuro, meaning he could have simply just sent Kaido or one of the top members in his organization to go deal with the Scabbards. But no, he did not. He decided to destroy the bridges, burning down the ships to prevent the rebellion forces from meeting the Scabbards. This was also in place to just deal them an emotional blow. We saw how Kinemon reacted after seeing no one at the port, no Luffy, no Law, no Kid, no none of the samurai. It was really, really devastating. It's not just Kinemon who felt it. The other Scabbards also did feel it, but they just didn't show it. So this was all in place before Orochi still sends these 3 giant ships to obliterate them off the water. Oh Lord. That's so diabolical, just breaking their spirits only to kill them off. So we see he wanted them to suffer before dying, which is a quality Orochi shares with his benefactor Kaido. Both enjoy having their enemies despair by taking away their greatest source of hope, delivering this devastating blow to their spirits before killing them off, or in Kaido's case, before recruiting them. We saw Kaido demonstrate to Luffy just a little flexing to just show him and us, the readers, the sheer difference in power and how hopeless winning will be if he was to fight Kaido directly. So then Orochi could also use this in an attempt to both flash out the scabbards, as they're bound to try and rescue Momo in case Nami and Shinobu's group don't get to him as they promised in time. They wouldn't really just sit there and wait for something to happen for Nami to save Momo when they are right there and they can see Momo about to die. This will go as well to fulfill Orochi's natural goal of killing off their spirits, and thus resulting in him killing two birds with one stone, quite literally. I'm using this killing word so much in this video, but just bear with me. So Orochi seems to have developed ingenious forms of execution that just demonstrate what kind of loathsome character he is, loving to see his enemies suffer an extremely painful death. Before we get into the crucifixion, I just have to mention how he chose to execute Momo's father, Lord Oden. It just demonstrated how deep his hatred for the Kozuki clan trained. He killed Oden by immersing him into a cauldron of boiling oil, whose effects were soon demonstrated by a careless guard who slipped into it and was dead in seconds. This, in our real world, was a form of execution reserved for the most heinous of criminals. In England in 1531, a statute was passed by King Henry VIII, making boiling alive the prescriptive form of capital punishment for murders committed through poison. These murders were considered high treason. So, this method of execution, as you can imagine, was excruciating and painful enough such that most people die from stroke, which is literally their body's way of escaping the pain. Like, the pain is just too much that the body can't handle and it chooses to die. This form of torture, of course, has existed for a very long time. Even in the Bible, we see John, who was immersed in boiling oil, but in his case, the oil did nothing to him. Presumably the work of, well, as you guessed, divine intervention. So Oden achieved the impossible, surviving in the boiling oil for an entire hour while holding his retainers above the oil, no less. We saw his veins rupture from his skin from the inside out, which must have been very painful. Just thinking about it sends chills down my body. But Oden didn't complain, just attesting to how strong his will was. People die from stroke, the heart basically giving in and choosing death instead of the pain. But Oden's spirit could not be broken. He had the will to endure the pain for an entire hour without his heart giving in. If Kaido was to keep his word, Oden would have survived his execution, literally. After which he should have been set free. But that wasn't the case. However, he was able to save the scabbards, so at least that's something. Moving on, Orochi's favorite form of execution seems to be crucifixion. as we've seen him invoke it twice now. The first against Lord Yasui in Ebisu Town, and more recently in Onigashima against Lord Momonosuke. This is why I love One Piece so much. It provokes thought, which leads to us acquiring information we even never thought we'd want to know. Though the images I ran into while making this video, they just made my soul cringe. So, quick history lesson. Crucifixion as a form of execution was invented by the Persians in 300 to 400 BC. There were different forms of crucifixion that existed, as you can see in this image. One could simply be tied to a wooden crucifix by their hands, which will better support their weight, allowing them to survive a couple of days before succumbing to starvation and loss of bodily fluids. The most severe methods of crucifixion, though, were those whereby the hands were put straight above the victim, which could lead to death in between 10 minutes to an hour due to suffocation caused by the difficulty in breathing. Even if you put your arms straight above your head, you can feel my voice even changing. Like it really does cause you difficulty in breathing. It's hard to breathe when your arms are that way. So the victims could either be tied up by a rope, or like in Jesus' case, 7-inch nails were driven through their wrists to better hold them up, which will be way more painful and will paralyze the hand. So the legs were also nailed to the bone in a 45-degree angle so as not to support their weight. In some cases, they even went ahead to break the victim's legs to prevent him from holding up his weight, which wasn't even necessary, as their legs would give in to the weight anyway. In One Piece, we've seen execution shown twice. The first being Eustace Kid when we were introduced to him. He was crucifying some people, as Shaggy explained. His brutality even against civilians was the reason why he had a higher bounty than Luffy's. In his case, though, he crucified this group of pirates, guessing they had made fun of his ambitions, as it was explained that he was that sort of person. He had their leader strung up with his hands tied to the crucifix using ropes in a well-supported way, guessing to ensure he died the slowest as he watched his subordinates die around him. His subordinates were each crucified in a different form of the crucifix. We see from the right, one of them crucified with his hands directly above his head, which, as I explained earlier, will ensure death in 10 minutes to an hour. We see some more on the left side, one nailed to or tied to a white crucifix. This design was made to ensure that once their legs gave in, the weight will be transferred to the arms, pulling them literally out of their sockets before they died from asphyxiation, based on the positioning of the body once this happens. In Yasui's execution, which was the second time we saw a crucifixion in One Piece, the crucifix which was used had a standing platform which allowed Yasu to stand on it, and his hands were simply tied to it, which and they weren't exactly nailed to the crucifix itself, meaning the crucifixion itself wasn't the primary method of the execution, as it would have taken days for him to die. And that's why Orochi followed it up by embodying the role of the executioner and firing at Yasu. Though that might not have been Orochi's initial plan, was Yasu, while on the crucifix, was mouthing off to Orochi, calling him a coward, all in an elaborate plan to misdirect them, as he set up a different plan for the alliance. Orochi shot him down sooner than he probably would have liked, because we know he likes to watch his enemies suffer. But then he just did that to shut Yasu up. Using this as our primary reference, Momo's crucifixion might have the same basic principles. The crucifix might have a platform for Momo to stand on, because we know Orochi will use it to lure out the scabbards. And he'd want to wait for them to come out of the woodworks, at which point Orochi will definitely, I'm so sure he intends to fire at Momo as soon as they appear. to rescue. Though this could go a number of ways. He could miscalculate, having not known of the hundreds, maybe thousands of samurai that are already infiltrating through the dome and mixing in with the peace pirates. Meaning they will be much, much closer to the execution platform than Orochi could have even thought of. So, and on to the next point, we know or expect Luffy to at least get one other L. A loss just to plunge the rebellion into despair. Watching and reading One Piece over the years, Oda has already established a certain sort of pattern during these arcs, in which it all starts it all starts in a good mood. Then the Straw Hats form emotional attachments to the island on which the arc is based on. Then Luffy loses or is put in a dire situation before he comes out on top after whooping the big bad of the arc. In Wano, Luffy has already lost to Kaido once and he was thrown into Udon, but it was way earlier, meaning it was just a way to kind of amp Luffy in terms of the training and everything. But we know that loss is coming. That really dire situation, that despair. And as it is, Luffy is in the plaza fighting against thousands of these pirates. And as the last chapter, Luffy was facing down Ulti and Page 1, which might result into an interesting 2v1 tag team battle against Luffy, which might actually exhaust him more than he expects. Although at this point we expect a certain beatdown, but Luffy has been training a long time in Udon, where he did some weightlifting, developing his muscles, generating some sort of resistance to Kairoseki. Those are system cups, yeah. And he's also shown us that he's completely mastered his future sight haki. We saw him giving Boss Yogoro directions in which to dodge during the Sunwing final. His advanced armament haki is also, we've seen it greatly develop, even to a point where Yogoro stated that it had already surpassed what he was able to teach him, as he was demonstrating the kind of haki he really demonstrated. Oh Lord. And at this point, we know that he's, if not completely mastered, he's gotten comfortable using the advanced armament haki, because we see him casually using it on a tree. With all these power-ups, we just can't wait to see what kind of abilities Luffy is going to unleash. Maybe some new Gear 4 forms, maybe Gear 5th, or maybe he's almost mastering Awakening. Maybe. But of course, some of them will be shoved to the side so to be used against Kaido himself. So we expect Luffy to demolish Page 1 and Ulti, though I don't see them being taken out for the count, considering at least Page 1 has an ancient Zoan fruit, which are even way more resilient than the Impel Down jailers, which just consisted of a koala bear, a zebra, and was it a rhino? We don't know yet what abilities Ulti has, though, but I don't see her being taken out either. From here on, though, just bear with me, this is just headcanon, yeah? So please just hear me out, eh? I see Queen taking advantage of their exhaustion after this fight and using the opportunity to use his plethora of unexpected and mysterious gadgets and disease inventions, and might actually catch Luffy and Kid by surprise, overwhelming them. Even maybe Zoro too, and Kid's other mates. Because remember, it's not just Queen and Page 1 and Ulti who will be fighting Luffy and Kid. There's a lot of heavy hitters in there, as Zoro and Luffy found out the hard way. Even a poison is, it makes things very, very complicated. Considering as soon as you hear his attack, you've been attacked. Meaning, they'll have Luffy, Kid, and Zoro will have to, and also Killer. I keep forgetting Killer, and also Zoro will have to keep fighting while covering their ears. Maybe they'll find something to plug their ears with, but if they don't, it'll be quite difficult to just stop in the middle of battle when to cover your ears. It's going to be extra difficult. So even though Luffy's got all these power-ups, we don't expect it to be an easy fight. So I expect them to be overwhelmed. And remember, Kaido has already been informed by Fukurokuji that Queen was handling the situation, meaning as it is, Queen's pride and neck is literally on the line. Knowing Kaido, who doesn't tolerate weakness, attributing Doflamingo's takedown to his being weak, Queen might be forced to bust out all he can to stop Luffy and Kid from going any further. Anything half-assed won't work. Zoro and the rest of Kid's crew at this point, after being overwhelmed, as I suppose they will be captured and tossed into some sort of prison cells somewhere in the dungeons of Onigashima, because of course the Beast Pirates have to have such a place owing to their nature of business, their character, taking people prisoners and recruiting the strong ones. Kaido's own base of operations has to have at least some sort of cells. And this I think will be King's domain, because it might actually be the torture chambers where they obtain intel from people they've captured. And oh lord, this is just so interesting, because we know the calamities, even the Tobiropo have certain areas under their domain as their area of influence. So like Queens, for sure, it's put down prisoner mines. Junks might, we actually don't know exactly for sure, but it just might be the errand boy, the one who goes out into the world to do Kaido's bidding. Even Black Maria has a domain being the brothers. Sasaki's might be in charge of Onigashima's defenses, I think. And anyway, back to my point. I think King's domain will be the torture chambers. His dressing resembles those of an impelled down jailer, and so, as most have already figured, he will be in charge of torture, because we also saw him questioning Queen and taking so long to break Luffy's spirit, insinuating he could do a better job. Oh my god. And Zoro will escape in some way, shape or form. He might get help from someone or discover an ability to do with having soul ties with his swords or something, such that he might be able to control them from a distance or something. I don't know, or maybe just to pull them to him. In any case, in his attempt to break out and go save his captain, who at this point, I'm saying, like I said in my last video, that Luffy might actually be strung up together with Momo and Kid to be crucified. So Zoro and King might actually have their fight here. It's the perfect scenario, because they will have enough on the line for a serious battle, because Luffy will be about to be executed and Zoro must break out to go help his captain. Oh lord, that might be a very interesting fight. Luffy, I think though, he will be strung up alongside Momo and Kid, as I have mentioned, to be crucified, further dealing that emotional blow to the rebellion forces, as we know Orochi so loves doing. Them seeing their main strong guys beaten and strung up for execution will really break their spirits if they have weak spirits in the first place, yeah. And for Kid, it will be a nice display of karma, Because he has crucified people himself before. So just thinking about the despair and horror. That's so chilling. We might even get an actual death. This is what we're talking about, and considering everything that'll be going on, I wouldn't put it past him. Even more than that, just thinking about how they are going to get out of that bind gives me jitters. And this, I think, will be the end of Act 3, following in the Kabuki system of theatre, of having 5 parts with the third marked by despair before things take a turn for the better in Act 4, which will be the most climactic act before the resolution in the 5th act. I really like this idea and the pacing Oda is taking. I really hope at least some of what I just said will happen. I think Momo will also finally just blossom into something fierce and worthy of respect, resembling his father Oden. He will have to become a man and might have an actual like a sort of mashup between Luffy moment and Yasuo's moment, giving a speech befitting a king while in such a terrible scenario. And that also reminds me, it also gives me like, you remember when in the Doflamingo's flashback when they were about to be executed with the villagers, they were strung up on a wall, and Doffy awoke his king's haki while addressing these people, talking about how he's going to definitely get revenge against them. Momo might have a similar thing, which he might give a speech befitting a king while not even knowing that the samurai are mixed in with the other beast pirates. Even telling more about just how badass this scene will be, because at that point he might not even know that the samurai are still out there about to and close enough to be able to save him. Because we also saw in the last chapter when Fukurokuji was explaining to Kaido that the Luffy and kids have been spotted, but he said none of the ships of the samurai had been seen, meaning as far as they know, it's just the pirates, Luffy and Kid, that broke into Nigashima. They have no idea that the samurai are already inside. So he might Momo might just be put in this hopeless situation where he thinks there's no way coming out. He might address Kaido, Orochi himself, and even the samurai. That I think his speech might even inspire Luffy. This moment of hopelessness may subsequently awaken his conqueror's haki, like Momo's conqueror's haki, that is. Or maybe a completely different kind of ability, who knows. It might have something to do with his ability to talk to Zunisha, might be a rare form of conqueror's haki that has greater significance, or it just might turn out to be the ancient weapon Uranus, as most people in the community have already theorized. And that comes with a bunch of other, might come with a bunch of other abilities we still don't know of. Oh Lord, this is so good. This is why I love One Piece. Oda has to address that ability at some point in time, because he hasn't so far, and it seems this will be as good a time as any, at least to give us just a glimpse or a taste of that power. Oh, anyway, thank you for watching this video right to the end. I hope. Thank you for listening to my opinions. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Tell me what are the topics you'd love me to make a video on. Like, share, and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. It's your boy, the King of Dawn, Kozuki the Dawn, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.